I want to describe for you a very specific day in my life. I'll wake up, eat, have my cigarette. At some point, I'll decide that my reclusivity is getting boring and I'll plan a trip to the city. I'll text a few friends to see if they're around, but I won't wait to hear back from them. Because if they're around, then great. And if they're not, fuck them. But either way, I'm heading out. Now, it's hard to remember if solitude was a choice I made or if it was a destiny that I had to make peace with. I remember when my mom would pick me up from middle school and she'd be like, Shelby, why are you like looking at the ground when you walk? And I remember, I didn't even realize that I was doing this, first of all, and it's a habit that I still have to this day. But I think I would walk around like that because I felt like a certain type of shame because I was always by myself and I didn't have any friends to walk out of school with. Like my sister would always have friends that she would like come out with because they'd be talking or whatever. And like the usual scheme is that I would try to get all my books in my locker, meet my sister, and then we would all walk out together. But sometimes if I was too slow, I would miss the opportunity and I had to walk out by myself. It was the first time that I had some type of awareness around what it meant to be alone and felt shame about it. Like, you're not supposed to be alone. Why are you alone? This is wrong. You are wrong. You know, all of those like negative signals you get when you're, you know, in middle school. But even years before that, when I was in foster care, I would remember being alone for like most of my like potent memory. Alone, playing in the backyard, watching TV, making things, writing songs. And this was before I was adopted, and then I had a sister who was the same age as me, and we became kind of like the two musketeers. But before that, it was just me, myself, and my decadent daydreams. Like I had this like crazy, rich, vibrant inner world, and that world of my thoughts became the real world for me. But the thing about having your real world be your inner world is that you start developing your personality also in isolation. So then there was never that third party that would tell me that certain behaviors or mannerisms or habits were like out of the ordinary or unusual. So when I then had to be like socialized with other kids and, you know, daycare and school and pre-K and all of that, that's basically when I found out that, you know, I was probably a little unusual or a little off the beaten path. And then when I would leave that environment and be by myself again, that's when I really learned to get comfortable with solitude, because I knew that if there were no other people around, I didn't have to be worried about other people's judgments about my behavior or about the way I talked or, you know, whatever the situation was. And that's what it came down to. If other people aren't around, I don't have to deal with their judgments. So, you know, as I grew older, you know, now I'm 30, I'm a whole adult, I've just become much more protective of my solitude and like having my own private space to myself. But there's two sides to every coin. So on the other side of the coin of solitude is loneliness, you know, and that's something that I struggle with a lot. And in all my time, like pushing people away to have my space, I didn't consider that during the times when I did want companionship, when I did want company, that I would reach out and there would be no one there to reach back. And I try not to beat myself up about that, you know what I mean? I try not to, you know, get too down on myself, try not to get too like, oh, this is why you should be more social, or, you know, whatever people's answers to that problem could be, right? You know, I still love my space. I still love my privacy. It's like one of my favorite things, you know what I'm saying? Besides cereal and Star Wars and Frozen 2. but there are a couple lessons that I learned in this journey to like valuing my space and valuing my solitude without it going too far in the space of like being completely isolated from my community, you know? And so first and foremost on that list, number one, like just because I love my privacy doesn't mean I don't deserve companionship or company. You know, like I have like a few select friends whose company I really cherish. And these are people, you know, like I was talking about in, you know, maybe like 2 videos ago. They're those deep, intense friendships where I can really like have those really like heartfelt conversations about life and about pain and about vulnerability. And these are the people that I can be around without feeling like they're judging me about whatever, you know, unusual habits I have. The second thing that I learned with the help of my therapist is that loneliness is a feeling. Feelings are clouds, and clouds pass always. So even though at any given moment I'll feel lonely, or I'll text a few friends to see if they want to link up and nobody hits me back, or they're busy, or they're out of town, or whatever the case might be, even though I do feel lonely in that moment, there will be other days, infinite days, where I won't feel like that. There will be infinite days where I'll feel more resolved and I'll own my solitude, and there will be infinite days where people are available and they meet me downtown and they play with me. You know, I just find a lot of comfort in knowing that there will be days when I reach out and someone will reach back and save me from the despair of loneliness. And, you know, that makes all the difference.